Hey everybody, this is Dr. Bowers with Firefly Pediatrics. I wanted to do a follow-up video on when to get tested for COVID. So if you have no known exposures, but you develop any symptoms of COVID, runny nose, fever, body aches, cough, sore throat, or loss of taste or smell, then you really ought to get tested for COVID, because many people can have mild symptoms that feel like allergies or feel like a mild cold and actually have COVID. So it's better safe than sorry to get tested if you have any of those symptoms. If you have no symptoms, don't get tested just in case. The only exceptions to that are if you are traveling and the state you're traveling to or the airline you're traveling with require that you be tested. In that case, contact our office and we'll figure out which test is best for you. If you have been exposed to COVID, don't get tested until you develop symptoms. If you get tested, like we talked about in the last video, early in your course of quarantine and you are negative, that gives so many people a false reassurance that they're not contagious and that they can go do things normally and break quarantine. That's not a great idea for the reasons that we talked about in the first video. Many people become positive for COVID during the second half of their quarantine, during the 7 to 14 day mark. And so a negative test on day 4 or 5 or 6 doesn't mean that you are not contagious on day 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14. Don't get tested until you actually have symptoms. If you have a positive coronavirus exposure and you develop even a runny nose, that is a reason to get tested, as silly as it may seem. We talked about in the last video how a girl who had a known exposure and who had only a runny nose infected 12 of her family members, resulting in one of them ending up in the hospital. So, unfortunately this year, where normally with normal cold symptoms and mild symptoms, I would say wait stuff out at home. Don't worry about your kids until they get high fevers or prolonged fevers or labored breathing. This year is different, and in many people, coronavirus gives very mild symptoms. It's better safe than sorry, especially leading up into the holidays, to get tested if you have any symptoms.